Hi and welcome to video number 1 in the Quick Start video series for 90-second website builder. I'm Greg Hughes. I'm going to just get you started with this video. I'll make it as succinct as possible. But in this particular session, I just want to give you an overview of the software so you can see where everything is and how to get around. And then feel free to play. You can't break anything, so just have fun with the software. But to get you started, let me show you what you're looking at. Now, I'm going to assume you've already downloaded and installed the program. And if you haven't, there should be a video link nearby that will show you how to do that. If you have downloaded and installed the program, when you launch the software, it's going to look just like it does here on my screen. The first thing you'll see that's most obvious is this big blank area, of course, which we call the canvas. Now, this is the work area, the place where you're going to drag all your website objects into place, like text and images and navigation bars and forms and videos and all the good stuff you want to put on your website will happen here in the canvas area. And of course, there's some things you can change about the canvas, the size of it. You'll see the rulers there at the top. And in future videos, we'll show you how all that works. Just want to give you a quick lay of the land here. Off to the left is kind of important. That's the toolbox. And you'll see the toolbox is filled with all the tools and goodies that you can use to build your website with. By the way, all of these windows and palettes are movable. You can actually grab them and move them around. If you find it easier to store them someplace else on your screen, you can do that. I like to keep mine off to the left so I can dock it by doing this and it stays there. Sometimes people accidentally close it, can't find it anymore, but it's easy to find. You just go up to the view menu and toggle it back on. There it is. Speaking of menus, you'll see the menu items at the top, just like you would any Windows application, a place where you can open up your projects and save your projects and publish them and all the stuff that the menu items offer. One of the most important ones for you at first might be the help menu, where you can go to the help topics and look up subjects or features that you want to know about. There's also some sort of shortcuts or toolbars up here. These can all be customized. They default to kind of the more common settings, but you can add and remove buttons from these toolbars and sort of customize them by clicking here and adding buttons. So for example, here's the save button. We use that a lot, so it's right here. But again, you can move these around and customize them. You'll notice there's also a font style setting here. Right now it's grayed out because I don't have any text, but if I was to grab the text tool and drag out here and put some text on my canvas, as I select it, you'll see, I'll select the text, you'll see that I can change the attributes of the text up here in the font style menu. The other part of the software, I'll move the camera for so you can see. And it's these two palettes over here. You can also stretch things around a little bit like this, so it's a little bit easier to get to. In the top half, we have the Site Manager. And it does just that. It helps you manage your entire site, meaning the overview or the bird's eye view of your website. This is where you'll manage your pages. As you can see, my website project doesn't have a title yet. I just opened up a blank starting project, and so I could name it here. And then, of course, I have one page. You have to have at least one page for it to be a website. And you always start with an index page. This is how the software begins. It gives you one page to work with. But, of course, I can add pages as I go. If I wanted to add a page right now to this project, I would click a button that says New Page. And now I've just added a page, which I can even rename by right-clicking on it, going to Rename Page, and, again, it's pretty easy to do. So this is where you would manage the pages of your website. In other words, your entire website. And of course, I can delete pages and do some other things with them too. The lower half of this section of the software is called the Properties Manager or Properties Inspector. And it will always show the attributes of any particular object we're working with. Right now, there are no objects on this particular page. And so it's showing me the properties of the page itself. So right now, I could change the attributes of this page. So for example, if I wanted to center the page, if I wanted to change the type of HTML I'm using, I can do that here. There are several other attributes that apply to the page setting. But there's another way to get to these properties I want to show you. So for example, if I'm working with the page, I could right click on it and go to Page Properties and bring up this window that's essentially the same information that's in this palette, except it's a little easier to look at and work with. Again, here's where I would set the title of the page, the width, the screen size, all of the stuff that I want. You can see here's my HTML5 I chose. I can even set the background and apply a theme to this page, put in my keywords and my search engine optimization tags and all those kinds of things here in the page properties. But the properties inspector is pretty handy because also when we have an object on our page, let me do that. Let me go get an object. So I'm going to move the camera over here to the tools. And let's say I grab an image. So here's image tool. I'm just going to drag, select an image. Okay, now I've got an object on my page and it is selected. You can tell by the little boxes around there. So since this image is selected, now the properties window shows me the attributes of this object. Here I can change its opacity, how transparent it is. I can even change its position on the page or the size by changing these numbers. Of course, it's much easier to drag and drop. If I really want to change the position, I would just do this. Or if I want to change its size, I could do this. But this window does show me those attributes. I can also add alt text. I can change the angle. All kinds of things I can do with the object that is currently selected in the Properties Manager. But just like the page, I could double click on this object like this and bring up the Image Properties window. And here again, I can do all of these changes here too. I could turn this image into a link by clicking the Link tab and setting the link. I can add special effects to this image, or I can do whatever I need to do with this particular image. Here I would change the opacity of it, etc. That's basically how you get around a 90-second website builder just to get started. There's one other thing I want to show you, then I'll leave you alone and let you just play with the software. It's really important that you know where your files are stored. Here, let me delete this object. I'm selecting it and I click delete. And I'm going to close this page. So I just have this first index page here, which I do have an object on. I'm also going to select that and delete it. I would say the number one technical issue people have is they don't have a full grasp on maybe where they've stored their website files. But it's important for you to know when you create a website, it's one project. It's actually called a WBS file. And it's important that you store your WBS file in the right location. So when you go up to File, Save, and remember there's a difference between save and save as. If you're a Windows user, you probably know the difference. If you're going to do a save as, you're going to save a copy of whatever you're working on. And every time you do a save as, you save an additional copy. That's different than the regular save. So I'm just going to save my project. So I would go here. I could do a Control S or I could click here. And what's really important is that I keep track of where I'm storing my WBS file. It can't just go anywhere. It needs to go into a special location that 90-Second Website Builder is expecting it to be stored in. And that place is inside a folder called 90-Second Website Builder. This folder was created by the software when you installed. And this folder is inside another folder called Documents, or My Documents in some case. I'll show you what I mean. If I go up here, you'll see, if we go up to My Documents, this is the My Documents folder that Windows creates. And then inside this folder is the 90-Second Website Builder folder. Now in my case, you'll see I have several WBS projects. Each one of these is a website that I'm working on. And when I save my website and I name it, this is where it lands. So the software not only stores my WBS file in this folder, it also creates what's called an assets folder of the same name for each project. So in other words, I created a website project I called Audio Test. Here it is. Here's the WBS file. And the software created a folder for me called Audio Test. I don't really need to go in there. It's just that it's important to know that it's there because the software uses it to store things for my project. There are some other really important folders in here that 90-Second placed inside this folder when I installed it. The backups folder. That's where the software keeps backups of my work. In case I make a mistake or I lose something, I can always go to the backups and get a copy of my project. There's also some important folders like this one, the system folder. Again, this is a folder the software created where it stores things like templates and extensions and clip art galleries and all of those things that the software needs to work. So without getting too technical, it's kind of important for you to know where things are. The most important thing is for you, when you save your project and you name it, that is your WBS file, make sure you store it inside the 90-Second Website Builder folder that's inside your Documents or My Documents folder. As long as you do that, you should be fine. In future episodes, I'll go into detail on each of these features. I'll be showing you how to work with images and how to work with text and navigation bars and videos and all of those good things in subsequent videos. Right now, here's a great overview, and I want you to play with the software and have a lot of fun with it. If you ever have any questions, of course, feel free to contact our support through email, call us by phone, use the help desk. We want to help you enjoy this great software. So have fun with 90-Second Website Builder.